Hey everybody, this is TomTinkerer with my review of Call of Duty 2. The overall breakdown of the review is as follows. I analyze the storyline, gameplay mechanics, and graphics of the game. I personally believe that the three are equal in how well a game should be rated. If you don't think so, or you find that you have slightly different preferences, feel free to adjust these percentages and calculate what you would probably rate the game as. My goal is that this can be used by you guys to determine whether or not you should buy a game. I can obviously only do the reviews on my preferences or on the preferences of somebody I know, but this is meant so that you can change these ratings as you go. So if you, I personally would say stick with the ratings because, that's me and I'm the one giving the review. But if you find that you like different things throughout these reviews, because this is my first review, feel free to create your own percentages that you think you would like better, so that you can adjust the score depending. So that way you can think about my reviews in your own methods. So breakdown of the storyline, I split it up into 4 categories: character development 40%, plot 20%, setting and tone, especially if they agree or not, 25%, predictability 15%. Character development in this game I give a 7. Reasons being, our character is not really ever developed throughout the game, but there are several times throughout the game where I feel as if a attachment is created between the player of the game and some of the AI characters. I guess just essential storyline characters. Plot/raw storyline, I give it a 10. Reason being, this game is based off World War II. There is historical significance. In the battles that you fight, you actually feel like they have a purpose, and they do have a larger goal, historically at least. The player feels as if their actions actually matter, and at the end of the game, they show you at least a little part of how you're completing that level helps in the grand scheme of things towards reaching that larger goal of winning, of the Axis allies losing and the Axis powers losing and the allies winning. So setting and tone, I give a 9.5. Reason being, the setting is in World War II Europe, which is accurately depicted. I thought it was done really great. The language and dialogue agrees with the situation, but is somewhat repetitive. Music creates an immersive environment. I like the music in this game. It comes on at the right moments. I personally think it's done really well. The only thing that's a little repetitive is the dialogue when you're in battles. So cutscenes are good. As you're moving from objective to objective, the dialogue is good, but the automatic dialogue between characters is incredibly repetitive. Predictability, I give it an 8.5. Reasons being, the overall outcome of each level is rather predictable, but the terrain and problems between you starting and you finishing the level are not. AIs are rather predictable. That was just one minor thing I didn't like. Their choices do not really depend on circumstances that are unique to your gameplay. For example, I had an instance where, my AI's tactical favorite place to use as cover had a German machine gun flanking it from the left. If you watch the gameplay, you will see that. It's up in a building and my guys are down in a ditch and they are using the front of the ditch as cover. It's more like where a bomb exploded, so now there's a little ditch there. And so they're using that as cover, and it's great cover except for the fact that the German machine gun has a perfect shot down on anyone there, so there winds up being a pile of 15 bodies by the end of the level. It's rather sad. I don't particularly like that part about the game, but the accuracy of the rates of the bullets are done well. The bullets aren't perfectly accurate like they should not be, so I appreciate that the game had that. Storyline wise, so as the score goes, I told you the percentages of each category and the scores, and so the total comes out to be 8.5. That is what I rate the storyline in this game. Gameplay mechanics, I break it down into character movement 20%, combat 40%, and interaction with the environment 40%. Character movement I give a 9.5. Movement is incredibly versatile. very effective methods of taking cover. It doesn't limit your mobility while you are in cover. The only thing I don't like about the character movement in this game is that you cannot run or sprint. There you have it. The rest is good. Combat, I give a 9.5 once again. Gun handling, reloading, grenade throwing, etc. all beyond superior, all exceeding my expectations. I liked all of them. Realistic aiming and recoil change between each gun made you really think about each gun before you picked it up or changed the one you had. The only thing I don't like is that you lack the ability to return enemy grenades, something they fixed in later COD games. I believe they fixed it in the next one. Yeah, that's my only complaint. Interaction with the environment. 8.5. This is why. Grenades don't blast through stone walls, so I appreciate that. They did something right. So if you're just like sitting there playing it through like you regularly would, it plays smoothly. You don't run into a lot of situations where you're like, oh, that's not solvable. There's always a solution to it. It's just you might have to think differently than you normally do. The one thing something I don't like, the terrain doesn't change because of your presence in the game. I know this is an older game, and some of you might be saying, oh, well, you're being too harsh on it. I'm being harsh on it nonetheless. I don't like that the terrain doesn't change. Your grenades don't change terrain. Your bullets don't leave holes. All that good stuff. And what I don't like, another thing I don't like, bullets don't go through weak materials. That should be a gimme in a game like this. Now, I understand they fixed it in later COD games, and maybe that was something a lot of people were complaining about, that they couldn't shoot through a clay pot, or they couldn't shoot through a basket made out of leaves, like pom-pom leaves, you know. Anyways, wicker baskets, stuff like that. You should be able to shoot through them. You can't in this game. Those are my two complaints. So gameplay mechanics score, I told you the scores, the percentages, calculates out to a 9.1, so I give the gameplay mechanics score for this game a 9.1. Graphics. Landscape, I break graphics down into 4 categories. Landscape, 20%. Main characters, 30%. Additional characters and storyline items, 20%. Combat, 30%. Landscape in this game I give a 7.5, slightly lower than the other scores you've been seeing, but this is why. Immediate surroundings feel reasonably realistic. Distant objects are blurry or non-existent. Yes, there were several instances where I felt as if the surrounding area was non-existent. It was just the game that I was playing in. Gameplay, so the game seems to rely on a limited stock of standard objects. Objects, by objects I mean like set terrain for the landscape. It doesn't seem to change too much. It's like they took a standard terrain and copied and pasted like the trees everywhere. There's no change or anything in how the trees are actually laid out. Their heights and whatnot follow a pattern. I see that. Yeah, it feels somewhat blocky in the landscape. Yes, I understand it's an older game, please don't remind me, but nonetheless, it feels blocky. Main characters, I give an 8. Reasons. This is why. Faces have a decent amount of detail. You can easily distinguish them from other characters. However, they move like other characters. But yeah, like, what I also did like was I liked the items on some of the unique characters, like Captain Price's hat. Like, that helps really distinguish the characters. So that was a pro, but as I said, a lot of them weren't very intelligent, or they were as intelligent as the average AIs, and that was kind of annoying at times, just to be honest. So additional characters and storyline items. Don't worry, this is the only thing like below a 7.5 you're going to see, but I give this a 6, and this is why. This is the only area I don't think the game did very well in. Other members of the squad seem to be taken at random from a selection of 5 or 6 standard AI designs. So I know you might say, oh, well, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm sorry. There needs to be a slightly larger degree of variation in the units. I don't know, I don't like to see units in the soldiers. Because, like, otherwise, I don't feel like it's different. I mean, it's just another thing that makes me feel like I'm in a game. It was even worse for the enemy. I thought there was only 3 designs, 1 for each category of troopers. Regular rifleman or machine gunner, like with a handheld, and then like a turret team or mortar team, those seem to have the same design, and then the officer. Um, the extra items in the game also incredibly reused and somewhat blocky. And kind of the terrain feels like a game. Like in a lot of the towns, I did not feel as if someone could live in that town. It felt like it was designed for a game. So a strong attempt was made, if anything else, just by the fact that the game makers actually put these items in there, so I am giving them that. But still, this needed to be worked on just to make the environment feel more immersive and real. Combat I give, so combat graphics, not mechanics, this is graphics, I give a 7.5. This is why, I mean, when you fire a weapon, it looks and or feels real, and it feels like something is actually being fired. The guns need more detail, period. Guns need a lot more detail. I understand this is an older game, but nonetheless the guns need more detail. That's my critique. Melee is too specifically targeted. I kind of was annoyed by that as I'm going through the level. If you see, there's a couple parts where I honestly feel, I mean, tell me if I'm seeing things, but I feel as if my melee goes into the pixels of an enemy unit, but doesn't register as hitting the target, which was really annoying. Reloading and throwing grenades works flawlessly, so I give them that. I mean, those mechanics worked well. They didn't jam up or anything like that. Perhaps an element of randomness would have been nice. But yeah, let's not get too Gears of War-y on us. This is Call of Duty. So, moving on. Graphics score. I mean, I told you the percentages, I told you the scores of each category, so there's the breakdown of it. Total I give a 7.35. So that's what I give the graphics on this game. So the overall rating that I give this game is 8.32. That is basically an average of the three large, like, sum scores. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a terrific rating, especially, it's a terrific rating for a game that was made 6 years ago. I mean, I was not expecting to get like above a 7, like to give above a 7 to this game. But honestly, there were parts of the game that just blew me away. So beyond the graphics and whatnot, because there is more to a game beyond graphics. So yeah, this is TomTinkerer, and I hope you enjoyed the review. So that's the technical review, and now I'm going to give just a couple extra things about this game that I like. As far as an FPS, I would say this is a definite add to your collection. I mean, worst comes to worst, it's an older game. I mean, it's a good game, but it is an older game. So the price on this game is not going to be too bad. What would I pay for this game? I would pay $15, I'd say, would be the highest price I paid, just because it's older, and I know I should be able to find this around for less than $15. I mean, I got it for less than $15, I think. It's a good game, though, so, I mean, if you for some reason can't find it, and you randomly find one, I'd say I'd push the price up to $20. What do you really have to be looking for? You can't be looking for, I mean, obviously this is not a RPG, so don't expect this to be an RPG. This is very much so an FPS. This is a first-person shooter. This is a somewhat standard first-person shooter with decently good graphics and an immersive environment. I give them that. Yeah, it's not heavily specialized due to your individual gameplay. Things don't change because you decide not to kill someone and let your allies kill them. That doesn't happen. So it's kind of like a standard FPS, but nonetheless, I give it a decent rating because it did feel immersive and it felt like the game actually cared about what I was doing, and that what I was doing actually had a difference on it. So that's my overall analysis of the game, and hope you guys enjoyed it. This is TomTinkerer signing off, and I encourage you to go look at some of my other reviews. I plan on posting a bunch of them in the near future if none are up yet. So have a great day, and I will see you guys later.